I'm going to share some useful tips on data analyst interview today. Now, before you appear for the interview, many people ask me that we are not getting interview calls. So getting interview call is very important and you need to do couple of things for this. First, you need to have a good resume. I have a separate video which I'm going to link here. You should watch that video and prepare a nice resume. The second thing is, let's say you are applying in a company, just for example, Amazon Bangalore office as a data analyst. Try to make some friends already working in that Amazon Bangalore office using LinkedIn. You can go to LinkedIn and search Amazon Bangalore data analyst and you will find many profiles. So you can send them a connection link saying that I'm trying to apply at your location and I just want to build a connection so that I know more about the position and more about the culture, career growth and so on. And there will be people who will be nice enough that they would connect with you on LinkedIn. Once you have built this connection, you can request them to give a referral for you. The companies usually give a higher preference on the referrals coming from their own employees. So if you are being referred by an employee working in that company already, then there is a higher chance you will get an interview call. Now, before you go for the interview, you need to, of course, acquire the skills required by a data analyst. I have a separate video on how to acquire data analyst skills by using some online resources and by free. So please go watch that video. I have linked many free courses in that video which will help you acquire all the necessary like Excel, statistics, Tableau, Power BI skills. Now let's say you get an interview call. During any interview they ask some common question. These are the common questions that they ask in any data analyst or software engineer position as well. So let's go through those common questions. The first question is, why do you want to join us? You need to have a good understanding of the company, their products, their clients, etc. And you can get that by doing a Google search in advance. So before, let's say I'm going for the interview, prior to that, do Google search on the company's clients, products, go through their website, read Glassdoor reviews. The Glassdoor reviews are very helpful in terms of letting you know the culture about the company because the employees working for that company would be posting. So that way you have a good understanding of the company overall, and when you answer that question properly, it gives a good impression that this person is sincere about this interview. You know, he's just not coming here just to get a job. He cares about what company he's joining. So that gives a very good impression. So it is important that you do research on the company before going for the interview. Second most common question that they ask is, tell something about yourself. To answer this question, you should tell about your past background if you already have an experience. If you don't, then you can talk about your academic background, if you have made any achievements either in academia or in your past company, any certification, any rewards, any special performance appraisal that you have received because of some outstanding work that you did. On rare cases, some people have contributed to open source as well. They have written technical paper. So make sure you mention all of those things. These things should be mentioned on your resume, but during the interview in a verbal conversation also, you should mention your achievements, the technology and tools that you used. Do not bluff about it. If you have not worked on something, don't mention it, because the people who are taking your interview, they are usually smart people and they can really ask complex questions on those topics. So make sure you try to be as honest as possible. Now the third most common question is what type of projects you have worked on. They might pick up a project from your resume and they will ask detailed questions on that. So to answer these questions, you can to explain the technical architecture, maybe you can draw some diagrams. Using visuals will make your conversation more effective. So make sure you do that. Make sure your voice is loud and you use a clear language to explain what you have done. Also, when you're talking about project, please mention your specific role. You know, you might have worked with a team of, let's say, 5 people, but interviewer wants to know what was your role, what did you do, like what type of programs you wrote or what kind of data analysis you did in whatever tools, in Excel, Power BI, whatever. And also mention the challenges that you were facing, and by doing that project you can say, I saved my company few $1,000,000, or due to this data analysis work that I did, company decided to launch this product which increased the sales by 10%. So give the exact ROI on those projects. Basically that way the interviewer knows that you did this much work, but this was the ultimate outcome of that work. And the last most common question is, why do you want to become data analyst? You should have a good answer. You can say something like, working with data excites me, or any other reason that you might find that is keeping you thrilled about the field of data analytics. So mention that. Now let's talk about specific questions that interviewer ask. There are some categories, such as they might ask you about general question on data analysis process itself. Then the second category will be math and statistics, because for doing data analysis, good knowledge of math and statistics is essential. There will be case studies and scenario based analysis, where they give you a scenario and ask you to analyze that. SQL and Excel questions are also very common. If you have any knowledge with tools such as SAS, Tableau, Power BI, they will ask questions on those specific tools as well. And nowadays everyone asks questions on programming. Majority of the good companies, they would prefer that as a data analyst you have some programming skills either in Python or R. There are behavioral questions as well, such as, where do you want to see yourself in next 5 years? I did Google search on data analyst interview questions and found a bunch of useful links. So I'm gonna go over them and discuss some of the commonly asked questions. The first one I have is from Naukri.com, and here the question is, estimate the number of weddings that take place in a year in India. Now answering this question requires some knowledge of math and probability, and what kind of storytelling you can do to answer this question. Read through the answer of this question. I'm gonna provide links of all these URLs in video description, but in the end this person came up with the answer that okay, it's around 11 to 12 million. Then there are questions on statistics, such as how do you detect outlier? For example, standard deviation is a very common method used in detecting outlier, or it could be IQR. What is t-test and z-test? All these questions are mostly related to statistics. This particular question is related to data analysis process itself, right? So these are the steps for doing data analysis. Then how do you do data preparation? They will ask you a question on your knowledge related to tools. So you should know that these are the popular tools that help you do data analysis. Then what is pivot table, right? This is related to Excel. So we discussed all those categories previously. So we are going through different categories here. Then what is imputation? What is truth table, and so on. So you can go through all these questions. Another important link I have is from Springboard, where it's a behavioral question. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? So you should have a good clarity on your own vision about your future. Okay, let's say I want in 5 years I want to be at this particular stage. So answering that question will also leave a good impression on interviewer's mind. Then why do you want to become data analyst, right? So like, okay, you love data, working with data excites you. Those kind of points can be mentioned in the answer of that question. This is also another behavioral question where, okay, when you had to pursue others, how did you get their buy-in? Okay, because as a data analyst, you are doing data analysis and then showing those results to your business stakeholders. So having good storytelling skill, having negotiation skills, having skills of persuading people is essential. Then can you add number 1 to 100 quickly? And the formula is n into n plus 1 divided by 2. Now this is testing your mathematics knowledge. SQL questions are also very common. They ask questions on joins, especially what is inner join, outer join, etc. And what are the clustered and not clustered indexes. So some basic index, primary key, foreign key, knowledge, that type of questions are very common. Then what's the difference between data mining and data profiling? Okay, and how you dealt with messy data in the past. This question was asked in 2 Sigma. As a data analyst, you are doing ETL, you are doing data cleaning most of your time. So having good knowledge on data cleaning processes. How do you do data cleaning? How do you handle null values? How do you normalize data? How do you do transformation? Then here is a link from Simply Learn. Again, the same question: why do you want to become a data analyst? Okay, and then there are some questions on statistics, outlier, interquartile range, steps for performing data validation process. This is another case study type question where they say, okay, take few minutes to explain how you could estimate how many shoes could potentially be sold in New York City each June. You know, this is the standard scenario based analysis question. Also, I prefer that you do refer to questions specific to a company. For example, I am interviewing in, let's say, Amazon for a data analyst position. In Glassdoor, they post questions which were specifically asked during an Amazon interview. So for example, here I can go to glassdoor.co.in/interview. So for example, here if I open this link, so you can say in the Bangalore, I'm looking for data analyst position, and show me all the interview questions that were asked in Bangalore for this position. And see, this is showing the question from different companies, right? Let's say at Mercedes, they asked questions about SQL, general concept of SQL and database. Then in this company, they asked, what is something about you that is not in your CV? Do you believe in teamwork, your 5-year goal, your SQL and Tableau questions? Similarly, I looked for Amazon specific questions, and here I found some question where see previous experience with SQL, then what is the biggest challenge you complete, what functions in SQL do you like the most. So referring to questions specific to a company that you are applying to, that is definitely going to help, and Glassdoor is a best platform to refer to those specific questions related to the company. Here they ask SQL questions such as select all duplicate rows from the warehouse table, select all the non-duplicate rows from table where no order was delivered yesterday. Okay, so they might even give you a data set and say, okay, this is my situation, this is my data set, how would you write SQL query to join these two tables and retrieve the records which meet specific criteria. Then I have this link from career.guru99 where they're saying that they might ask questions on data structures as well. Okay, so if you're applying in tier 1 company, very good company, they will ask questions on data structure such as, okay, what is hash table collision and how to avoid it. Now I have a separate data structure tutorial series, so I would highly recommend you go watch it, because knowledge of data structures is very important if you want to be a good programmer. As a data analyst, if you happen to be working in Python and R, it is important to have knowledge on data structures. Then again, the steps in any analytics project, which is first you understand the problem, then you do data exploration, data acquisition sometimes, data preparation, modeling, validation, implementation, and tracking. Data cleansing, again, very common question. What is data cleansing, the steps for performing data cleaning, and various techniques for performing data cleaning. Now data cleaning you can do in Excel, you can do it using Python and Pandas, or you can do it in any ETL tool. On rare occasions, companies hold group discussions as well. They will, for example, invite 5 people for the interview. They will interview them separately, but then in the end they will have a group discussion round. During the group discussion, they might ask you some scenario based analysis question where they will say, okay, here is the current data of the consumption patterns of this retail company in this particular region, and now we want to launch a new product based on the past data that you have. Can you tell us, like, does it make sense to launch this product in this particular region with this particular demographic? So then that will spur the group discussion. During the group discussion, again, your confidence, your clarity of thought, your analytical analysis, all those things will matter, and how you can negotiate, how you can pursue your stakeholders, which will be your interviewers during the group discussion, how you can convince them that no, we should not launch this product, or maybe we should launch this product. So those kind of points will be noted by the interviewer, and they will use those to judge your performance during group discussions. But again, not many companies are doing group discussion, but there are some companies who are doing group discussion. So it's better to be prepared for that. During most of the interviews, they will spare last 5 to 10 minutes for any question that you might have for the interviewer. If your interviewer is asking you, okay, do you have any question for me? Don't be silent, because if you be silent and don't ask any question, it will show that you don't care about this job more than just the money. You are only concerned about money, and that's it. So you should ask meaningful questions. You can ask something like, what group do you work with, right? You can ask this to the interviewer that, okay, what type of work do you do? Do you like working for this company, and why? That is a perfect question to ask, okay? That will give you an understanding of, like, why that particular interviewer likes to work with that company. He will give you some insights which you might not find it on internet by doing some Google search. You can also ask what kind of technology and tools you guys use in your group. That way you know that if you get hired, then that's the technology stack or tools or framework that you are going to be using. You can also ask about the learning opportunities that companies has. What type of continuous education programs your company has, what type of internal or external trainings you conduct, do you send people to conferences, do people contribute to open source, and things like that. So that way you get a good idea on the learning path that you will have once you join the company, because you're not joining a company just for the money. You want to make sure you are growing every year in your career, you are learning new things and so on. So asking that question will give you that clarity. You can also ask about work-life balance, like flexibility and things like that. Also make sure you don't ask questions such as, am I selected? You know, sometimes people become nervous and they don't have patience, and they immediately ask during the interview, what do you think about this interview performance? I wouldn't ask that question, because the HR is going to let you know anyway. So have patience, right? Don't ask that question to the interviewer, because sometimes they take multiple interviews and they need the time to discuss among themselves whether to accept you or whether reject. Also, there are some behavioral tips that you need to be aware about. Before you start the interview, make sure you take a restroom break, you have water, because you might be traveling from a far place, and let's say if you want to go to restroom, and if you don't ask for that break, then what will happen is you won't be able to perform to your fullest. So make sure you rule out those factors. Have some water. If you have not consumed food, then maybe have some food with you, okay? So that way you are energetic, you are hydrated, and you are all equipped for that interview. Second most important thing is you have to be confident. Keep your voice clear and loud, and when you are solving the problems that the person is asking you to solve, discuss what's going on in your mind, because many times interviewers are not looking for the perfect answer. They're looking for your thinking process, your analytical abilities. So thinking aloud, which means if they give you some scenario based analysis problem, you are solving that on not and pen. You are discussing the thoughts that's going on in your mind. Don't have complete silence for, let's say, 10 minutes or for a long period of time, okay? Sometimes when you discuss your ideas, the interviewers will probably give you hints, okay? And those hints will stop you going on a wrong track. So you want to make sure you are communicating frequently, you are very clear, very confident. Look into interviewer's eyes, right? When you're interviewing, it's not like you are at the mercy of the interviewer, okay? Maintain high self-esteem. That's very important. If this company doesn't select you, there are 100 other companies, right? You are not at the mercy of that particular company. So have a very high respect and self-esteem for yourself. Whatever you are, whatever knowledge you have, you should have a lot of respect for yourself, and that respect and self-esteem should be visible during the interviewing process. Even the companies want to hire the people who have high self-esteem or self-regard for themselves. Another important thing is when interviewer is asking you a question, make sure you understand it clearly. Listening is very important. And after listening, if you have not understood it properly, ask counter questions. Sometimes people employ this trick where they ask you a very vague question and they actually want to know what kind of counter questioning you are doing. Okay, so that is part of the interview process. So make sure you don't have very vague understanding and you start solving that problem. You understand it clearly. If you don't understand it clearly, ask counter question. Asking smart counter question also leaves a very good impression on interviewer's mind. So I hope that gives you some idea on how to prepare for data analyst interview. If you have any specific questions related to interviewing process, please post in the video comment below. Thank you.